Good evening, everyone. I'm Charles Gross.
And I'm Leslie Hogan Blake. Welcome to Two on the Aisle. Our guest critic today is a returning friend of the show and of each of ours, David Sheward, the former president of the Drama Desk, and the critic for theaterlife.com and culturaldaily.com, as well as having a blog of his own called the David Desk.
In addition to his vast knowledge of the theater, David is also an expert on cartoon animation. So we will be giving him a surprise trivia question about a beloved Warner Brothers cartoon character at the end of the show. And with that, we're going to let Leslie go and talk about As You Like It. And this is As You Like It, the Public Theater's second presentation at the Delacorte Theater, Free Shakespeare in the Park. A very good cast, but a cast of 70 because they have teamed up with Public Works. They have outreach to community organizations who they have invited to join them on stage, although all the major roles are played by equity actors. This is an adaptation of the Shakespeare work. It's adapted by Shayna Taub and Laurie Woolery, with a score by Shayna Taub and an appearance by Ms. Taub, who is Jacques, who's kind of the ringmaster narrator of the work. This is one of my favorite Shakespeare's. It's a nice sort of light. It's kind of what would happen if Richard III, instead of killing everyone, had sent them all away. So there is Rosaline, whose father has been overthrown by her uncle, but because of her relationship with her cousin Celia, she's been asked to stay at the castle until the Duke changes his mind, and she is banished, and Celia can't be without her, so they go off together, and into the woods they have to go, because that's where they do the show. And then there is, of course, Orlando. Orlando is also having sibling problems because his brother wants to take over their father's lands and stuff, so Orlando also finds himself banished, but he's in love with Rosaline, and he's seeking her out, but Rosalind has now decided to dress as a man, and she is equally in love with Orlando, so she gets this great idea: I'll tutor him and teach him how to woo female me.
Yes, and there's also there's a subplot in the forest with Sylvia and Phoebe. Sylvia is now played by a woman. In the original production, it's Sylvie Us, but Sylvia is a shepherd who is in love with Phoebe, who is kind of disdainful of Sylvia, it's a lesbian relationship. But Phoebe apparently is bi because she is attracted to Rosaline in male guise, who she believes is a man.
And they never do determine, given that she's bi, would it actually have made a difference to her? Why doesn't it make a difference to her when she finds out that Rosaline is female?
Because she says that Rosaline cannot reciprocate it because she's not bi. She says they have that line where she says, where she's in male guise, and she says, I have love for no woman.
Right. Well, no, they changed that. It's I have love for no human female. I'm not quite sure what the inspiration for that is, but
it was interesting. And there's also Touchstone the Jester, who accompanies Rosaline, and Celia is now gay and is attracted to Andy, who is one of the characters in the forest, who in Shakespeare's original is called Audrey.
It's funny that you should mention one of my favorite lines in the play, and me for no woman, because in the play, that's a shtick that kind of goes on for several rounds. Here, it only goes on for one round. And that, although I did enjoy this, I found the score very pleasant. It's a feel-good evening, very close to the Shakespeare, pretty much follows it line by line, except that in condensing it and in musicalizing it, I felt a lot of the characters just kind of got lost in the sauce. They are honed down. They really don't get to develop. A lot of the shtick we see in the play is not there, and it can be a little bland at times.
I have to disagree with you a little bit. I agree that I thought it was really a brilliant job by Shayna Taub and Laurie
Woolery.
in their adaptation, because it was only 90 minutes, and most Shakespeare productions are at least 2.5 hours, usually 3, sometimes 4, as with the recent Hamlet at Park Avenue Armory. But I thought that we really got to know the character through the music and the songs that Taub wrote. We got to know more about the character Rosaline, as wonderfully played by Rebecca Naomi Jones, who we saw in Oklahoma and in Hadestown.
That's right. This is the season for veterans of that Oklahoma production, because in Richard, we saw Ali Stroker, who was Ado Annie in that same production.
Yes, in Richard III, yes. We don't get to know Orlando as well as we would in a full production, even though Atto Blankson Woods conveys that this character's need to assert himself, as you said, because his elder brother is trying to push him down and push him out of their father's estates. The focus of the production, I feel, is Rosaline, who's really brilliant.
As it should be. And in that particular instance, I will agree with you that character is fairly well realized.
There's a lot of spectacular, interesting, flashy stuff, which is really well staged. We have the wrestling match where Orlando literally wrestles for his future is now fully staged, and it's like the musical Rocky with a ring and everything, and announcers
with actual wrestlers from the Bronx Wrestling Federation.
Yeah, it's really spectacular. And we have puppets designed by James Ortiz, who did the puppets for Skin of Our Teeth. Mm-hmm. And which are just brilliant, like deers and lions and snakes. He does and he did the cow in Into the Woods.
And of course, you have all these people from Public Works, not professional actors, but going on stage, occasionally even saying a line or two and having a real fun time. All in all, like if you saw that Hamlet earlier that you had mentioned, this is a very nice way to kind of come down, relax, have a pleasant, enjoyable, and fun evening at the theater.
Yes, I agree. Overall, I think I enjoyed it a little bit more than you, but it was really, and the fact that it got through all the major points of the show in 90 minutes, and the audience followed what was going on. They really got the point. And I fortunately did not have to go to the bathroom.
That is fortunate. On a scale from 1 to 5, 1 being yuck, 5 being incredible, how would you rank this play?
I'd give it a 4.5. I really, if something really engages me while I'm watching it, and I really forget about everything else in the world except what I'm seeing, then I give it very high marks, and that's what this show did.
Okay. I admit I had it was a really good, feel-good evening, which I did enjoy. But as you said, you did enjoy it a little more than I am, which is why I will give it 3.5. And I think I was going to say it's time to bring back Leslie, but obviously great minds think alike. And Leslie, you're right in time for our trivia question for Mr. Stewart. Okay.
Can't wait for this one.
I am curious as to what this is going to be.
Okay, well, one of the most enduring and popular animated characters is Bugs Bunny. Mm-hmm. But how did that wascally rabbit ever get a name like Bugs?
Oh, well, I think it's one of the animators in Termite Terrace, which was the nickname for the Warner Brothers animation studio, the animation suite. I believe his name was Bugs, and he did his nickname was Bugs, Bugs Hathaway or Hardaway or something like that. And I believe he drew a model, an early model of the rabbit in one of the early drawings in the early 30s, and it sort of circulated around, and they called him and they nicknamed it Bugs's Bunny, and I think that's where it came from.
More or less correct. The way I had heard it was that someone he had drawn it, he had asked that a rabbit be drawn, and someone had drawn it for Bugs and put down Bugs Bunny on it, but forgot to put the apostrophe in the name. So I would say that is more or less correct.
I have one quick question about the show, and that was at the end when Jake Reese does his Ages of Man speech.
Mhm.
And I understand they changed the very ending of that to make it all very much more of a happy ending than the sad truth of what life really is.
Well, it's interesting. The show opens with a song, "All the World's a Stage, Not Everyone's a Pro," and we go on with the show.
Oh.
And they have little children in the ensemble coming on, and then teenagers, and then Orlando and Rosaline. And in the end of the show, Jaques comes out and sings the song again, and then a younger person dressed exactly the same way
Oh,
with a
how
little
clever.
with a little notebook is writing in it. And Jaques, Orlando, and Rosaline enter in their wedding clothes, all in white, and then an older couple dressed the same way come in, and they go opposite sides of the stage, I guess showing the eternal cycle.
Oh. So in other words, it's still there, but because I had only seen the words on paper.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that.
But
And thank you for being here. We always appreciate whatever you have to say about something that you've just seen.
Thank you for having me.
and when you go to the theater, look for Leslie and me, us 2 + 1.
On the aisle.
On the heaviest day, on the bitterest tonight, still I will love, still I will love. When I'm tired and hungry and we're in a fight, still I will love, still I will love. As we change and we grow, as we ripen and rot, still I will love, still I will love. When nothing turns out quite the way that we thought, still I will love, still I will love you. When I'm scared to lay bare all the pain in my chest, still I will love, still I will love. And our bravest and weakest, our worst and our best, still